had the early sack, got off to a good start. I mean, overall, what did you think of how the D-line played against Washington?
Yeah, I thought, especially for a lot of guys getting probably their first significant playing time and or start against a really good football team. Happy with how we played against the run game. Thought they played physical. Thought they operated well out there. Obviously, we got to get more pressure on the quarterback. Like you said, sack early, a little bit of pressure early, and then it kind of faded away. So we got to find a way to create more pressure on the quarterback, confuse him a little bit. So from the run game, happy. Pass rush game, got a lot of ways to go.
How frustrating was it, maybe, Coach, just not to apply the pressure that you thought you schemed, that you thought was going to happen, and then you maybe watch the tape? How frustrating is that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Washington had a good plan. A lot of max pro. Letting that quarterback set his feet and throw the ball downfield. But it does get frustrating. It gets frustrating when guys can't get home, when you can't get home with the four-man rush, when you have a little pressure going, and sometimes it's a great pressure called by Coach Danielson and it just doesn't hit home, or it's just a second late, or somebody makes a mistake. So, but all things we are very fixable. So that's the exciting part.
The challenge this week with Plumlee runs it a lot.
Yeah.
So what do you guys need to do differently when you face a quarterback like this? Looks very different from what we saw last week.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's an exceptional athlete, can throw the ball a mile, really, really fast when he gets out in the open field. So the challenge for us up front is, can we keep him in the pocket? Can we get pressure on him and keep him from running through the middle of the pocket, and then having a good idea of where our extra defenders are at so we can get them to him if he does break the pocket. So a lot goes into that, into the plan, and then a lot goes into the execution of the guys up front, just keeping that pocket collapsed and keeping the quarterback in front of us.
How impressive of an athlete is he? I mean, during the spring game he's playing in the baseball game. It was pretty important for UCF. He's getting shuttled across campus to play in the spring game for the football team. Like, how impressive of an athlete is he?
No, super impressive. The previous staff I was on, we recruited him in high school, so and he obviously played receiver some in the SEC, so he's a really impressive athlete. Like you mentioned, the baseball, the quarterback, the receiver, there's not a lot he can't do on any field, it seems like. So very, very impressive athlete.
Going back to, you said that you ran a lot of max protect and things like that. How do you pull an offense out of stuff like that?
Well, I mean, it's part of the give and take. You have to stop it. That's how you get somebody out of anything, and whether that's with pressure or coverage, you just got to be able to stop what they're doing and then make them move on to the next phase of their game. So the bottom line is we didn't operate well enough up front, and we're going to get that fixed.
In terms of the pass first run, they're obviously very balanced. I mean, they put up a lot of running. UCF put up a lot of running and passing. How do you pick one and try to attack that, or how do you kind of look at that when they were as balanced as they were defensively?
No, I think anytime you're facing an offense, especially as balanced as they are, you have to take care of the run first, up front, and then we've got to talk about how can we get to the quarterback. A lot of their passes are really well schemed, off of some of their run plays. So it's going to look like run initially up front, and then we've got to be able to convert to our pass rush stuff. So that's what we've been working a little bit this week, just being able to convert those play action passes into a rush. But you definitely have to take care of the run game first before we move to anything else.
I don't know if pressure is the right word, but obviously, no team ever wants to start 0-2. I mean, just what's just in this program is mindset, the home opener, just trying to keep this season where you want it to go, and just the importance of this game on Saturday.
Yeah, obviously it's very exciting to be on the blue. My first game on the blue, and then our team's very excited to get back on the blue. But I think the important thing that Coach Avalos stressed to the team is we stay with the process. So it's not, do we have to press to get to 1-1? Is it going to be the end of the world if it goes 0-2? Those things were not talked about. The talk around the building was staying with the process. We get better and better every single day. We get better as a team. So really impressed with how he handled the whole week.
It's probably a little bit different because Bush went back to a place that he coached. Now the place that you coached is coming to you. But last week, he'd be lying if you didn't acknowledge that it was a big game. Do you feel the same way about UCF? Are there any ties there that tugging any emotional cords or anything still?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, anytime your family lives in a place for multiple years, like you have an emotional tie to it, and the emotional tie is more the people than anything. And the coaches and the players are pretty much turned over now. There's a few guys I still know, a few in the administrative side, and then just some people around Orlando that we became close with. So there's that aspect, but it's been removed for a while. And you know, it's going to be fun to play in this game against this team, but it's no different than any other opponent right now. Just, you know, watching the film and nameless, faceless opponent when we're watching the film and game planning what we want to do against them.
In your time there, how well did their fan base travel to, say, big non-con games like this? I mean, you expect to see the visiting section wherever you see it here. I know it'll be your first time in the stadium. You expect to see a lot of black and gold?
Yeah, you know, it'll be interesting, and I don't really know what's going on. You know, when we started there, obviously the year before we got there was not a great season, and then it got better, and then that next year was really well, and the fan base kind of grew and grew and grew and traveled better and better and better throughout that time period. So it'll be interesting to see how they traveled this game, because it was still still growing, you know, as we were finishing up. At the end, it was really, really good. So it'll be interesting to see how it travels.
After giving up 19 explosive plays against UW, Andy mentioned that, you know, stopping that is a collective effort. So how do you, and it starts with getting pressure on the quarterback. So how do you see the D-line improving in that area this week?
Yeah, like we said, we've got to make sure the rush lanes are really well taken care of, so the quarterback can't get out and scramble. He's got a lot of explosives doing that. We've got to get some pressure on him so he doesn't have all day to sit in the pocket and throw downfield and let those receivers make double moves and do all kinds of things in the back end that DBs, that, you know, they just can't, no matter what coverage you call, it's really hard to hold up forever. So we've got to make sure that ball gets out, and then we've got to really get out of the stack and pursue the football, because these guys are really, really good. They can jump cut with as good a guys as I've ever seen, but we've got to pursue that ball inside out, so if a jump cut happens, we can be there to help clean up the tackle.
How much fun has it been to coach a guy like Max?
It's awesome. He's an awesome young guy. A lot of questions. He keeps you on your toes, right? And he's a guy that's like, if I come out of my office at 10 at night, he's probably next door in the D-line room watching something. He'll probably come over with some questions. And it really, I don't say challenge, but it really makes you go back to the beginning and make sure what you're teaching is clear and concise and to the point, because he's English second language, speaks English very well, but there's some things that just don't translate very well. So you have to have everything you teach has to be dialed in order for him to make sure it's not gray, it's black or white.
Right. Do you have like a go-to in case there is like some type of language barrier where you can't get through to him, or vice versa? Like, I don't know if you have anything in the building else that speaks German or something like that, but
No, he's great with, like I said, he asks more questions than anybody in the room, but he's great with, he's not afraid to say, I don't understand, Coach, I have a question. He's not afraid of that at all, so there's never a time where he doesn't understand something and it just gets left like that, because he's going to ask, and if he looks at me like, kind of like, you know, it's not going over well, then I ask him. So I think we have some good nonverbal signals to let each other know that, hey, we got to start over here.
I mean, to come in 8 months and land on the depth chart is pretty impressive. Can you see or project what his ceiling is?
His ceiling's as high as he wants it to be. He's a super athletic guy moving into D-tackle. His body's getting big. He's just a young guy. His hunger for the game, his hunger for knowledge, the way that he carries himself and works in the building, it's really impressive. So I think the ceiling's as high as he wants it to go.
Do you anticipate a kind of more guys rotating with the speed that UCF plays, and how fast, or is that tough to rotate guys because they run so quick?
Yeah, you'd like to rotate guys, but once again, the offense you play dictates a little bit to some degree how you can get those guys rolling in and out. And obviously, part of their strategy is to get us tired, and they don't want to let us sub. So it will be difficult to get them in and out, but you'd like to rotate a lot of guys.